What's up, everybody? You're listening to episode 30 of Just Breathing with Laud Lungs. Thanks, everybody, for coming back for another episode. I have been kind of under the weather, but not in the typical sense, for the past, week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. If anybody doesn't know already, I have an autoimmune disease called celiac disease. It's basically, I get to be trendy and be gluten-free, but if I actually have any type of gluten inside my body, I effectively die. Not really, but it's not good. It's not good. So I've been just suffering from I don't even know what to call it. I've looked online and some people call it an autoimmune flare-up. So I kind of call it that because it's something that just kind of comes and goes.
Yeah.
A reaction, reactions I always think like an allergic reaction.
Right.
Like I don't have an allergy. Like I have an autoimmune disease.
Right.
So it's like, I don't say reaction usually because I'm not like breaking out in hives or, crap in my pants or, whatever comes along with reactions.
Yeah.
I don't typically deal with that. But yeah, so I haven't done a podcast for a while. Sorry about that. But we back. I'm starting to work out again. I've been good about like working out at least 5 times a week. Usually take the weekends off. But I literally could not do more than 10 push-ups last week. Like, I think it was like Monday. I'm like, well, let's just see what we can do. And I like got the workout out and I started doing push-ups and like my entire body, and this is everyone's autoimmune reactions are different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's so difficult about trying to pinpoint what you have or how to fix what you have or heal what you have, whatever, is for me, it's like an anemic reaction, which is so strange because if you look up anemia, one, it's mostly associated with females.
Yeah.
So very rarely do men deal with anemia, but like that's what it's attributed to because my iron levels are so low.
Right.
So yeah.
Even though I don't know, you used to feel that way because your iron levels were low. But I'm like, are they still like, does it spike down like that?
I don't know.
It seems like you have all the symptoms of like anemia, but I don't know if you're actually anemic or if it's just the autoimmune.
I call it that to give it a name.
Right.
But I have no idea. Like, I mean, even right now, like I still am in the throes, kind of the final stages, hopefully, of this most recent flare up. But like I still have muscle fatigue. And if you don't know what anemia is, it's basically you're lacking certain blood cells that feed your muscles, that feed all parts of your body. So when I was before I was diagnosed with celiac disease, there was a period of time where I was literally just bedridden, essentially. Bed to couch to maybe work, office chair.
Yeah.
And like I was barely making it to those.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was associated, with the low iron levels. I'm not at that stage with any of these flare-ups, so you're right. I don't know if I would call it anemic.
Right.
But that's what it feels like. It's the same type of, you struggle breathing to a certain extent, but it's not a lung issue. It's like a lack of oxygen to your muscles. That's what it feels like. Like I don't have any like fluid in my lungs. I don't have any trouble breathing.
Right. But it's not like your throat's closing up.
No.
Right?
Again, that's why it's not like a reaction. It's not like an allergic reaction, but it's like my muscles never are getting like the sustenance that they need, which is oxygen.
Yeah.
Which couples in with the blood flow that activates them.
Yeah.
And my muscles are not activated during those periods of time. So I'll do 10 push-ups and like my face is red. I feel like my body's on fire. Goodness. But it's just because and then you get like the not the calcium buildup, but the what do you call it when your muscles they get all like tight and like lose
Cramp?
energy.
Oh, wait.
It's like a cramp, but there's like a term for it. But I get a lot of those.
Atrophy?
No, not atrophy.
Oh my God, I don't
No,
know.
that would be bad.
That would be really
You do
bad.
10 push-ups, you just start atrophying. Like, that would be scary.
All that work.
Yeah. I'm going backwards. No, it wasn't like that. There's a name for it. It always is a part of working out. You get to like your limit and your muscles just start like tightening up and like you can't go on.
Yeah.
But I can't remember the term. But I get a lot of those symptoms. And that's like my only symptom. I don't have any stomach issues. I don't have any other issue besides that stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff. So, yeah. So that's been my week or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I kind of lose track.
It's been like a while. It's been a little while.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been like 3 weeks, but.
And when you live with this for a while, you just kind of get used to it. And like, so there's a lot of ups and downs and things of that nature. And you just kind of plug through and you're like, I've dealt with this before. I can deal with it again.
Yeah.
So you just get used to it in that regard. But I mean, we're trying to do some different diet stuff.
We're getting ready.
We're getting ready. I feel like a test subject. I'm not going to lie. Because the conversation's like always on like my medical needs. And we're like prepping me for like what's to come. And like, here's how you're going to adjust. And here, you know.
We should be doing like
I guess I could think of myself as like an athlete.
There you go.
I'll think of myself as getting prepped for the Olympics.
There you go.
That are coming up.
Your life.
My life. Yeah. The gluten Olympics. How to dodge and jump over and fly higher. And
oh my goodness.
Yeah. And the gluten that plagues me.
Well, someday you'll find what works and then you'll be able to tell people that you feel better and that you don't enjoy the pleasures of food anymore, but you feel better.
Yeah. Wow. I just kind of got what you said there. I was digesting that for a little bit. Ow. Ow.
Well, you'll feel better.
There's plenty of enjoyable foods that I still get to partake in.
That is true.
I eat a lot of meat. Meat is delicious. There are lots of ways to prepare meat to make it delicious. Mm-hmm. So at least I have that in my life.
Mm-hmm.
All other things we're just not sure of right now. All right, well, let's talk about that for a little bit because maybe that'll be helpful for some people that are listening. So the first thing that we're planning on doing in like a week or so is a sugar detox.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know any more about that? Do you know a little bit about
I think so.
What goes into that?
I will just...
Because I don't.
I'll just throw out what I've been learning. So I actually don't... Like, I just learned this like a couple days ago when I was reading about it. But so the purpose of the sugar detox, which is supposed to be done for at least 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So in my mind, with my crazy mind, I'd be like 3 weeks because you don't want to like...
I know
you don't want to waste...
I know you would.
You don't want to waste the 2 weeks work you did and find out it didn't work. Anyway, what I'm saying is 2 to 3 weeks.
What you're saying is you're doing 3 weeks and you're going to like it.
Pretty much. So 3 weeks of sugar detox. And the purpose of that is to starve the candid, which is the bad yeast, I think it is, in your gut.
Yeah, that's where I get lost on all of this. Okay. So that's a bad yeast.
So that's an overgrowth of yeast that is not good.
Now, what produces yeast again? Like, I know that sugars and different foods sort of like accentuate.
Right.
That.
I don't know why. Like,
yeah,
it's bad, but it is. And it feeds on sugar.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's an overgrowth, and maybe it's an overgrowth of this yeast because we don't eat the way we did 100 years ago. I don't even know all but like we used to not have all this genetically modified food. We didn't eat so much wheat.
Yeah.
We didn't have all these processed foods. We were eating from the ground or hunting,
Right.
whole foods, not processed, fresh, possibly cold, and not even heated up all the time because we didn't have microwaves. So anyway, so there's an overgrowth of that. Whether that's the reason that I just said or it's another reason, I don't know. But so you starve that yeast and you do that by not eating sugar. And then the reason why you want to eat mostly like meat for you, well, for anyone who wants to do that, it sounds like it's because even things like potatoes or rice or corn, that's going to rapidly turn into sugar. Also fruit.
Right.
Fruit is sugar. There's sugar in fruit. So you wouldn't want to eat fruit. Vegetables are good, but they also turn into sugar. I mean, all things are broken down into sugar, I guess. But so what I was learning is you want to add the probiotics. So that would be like kefir, like that dairy. Yeah, it's a probiotic, and the kombucha and things like that. But the hard thing,
Kombucha.
those are the probiotics.
Isn't it kombucha?
Kombucha? I don't know.
Kombucha.
Kombucha. That sounds more fun to say.
Tequila.
It's definitely more fun to say.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm saying it right, but those probiotics then will be in your gut to give you good bacteria, and then you want to feed those.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure. I guess like while you starve the yeast, you want to eat meat, but then you also want to eat those probiotics and then feed them. But that's where it becomes tricky. So I'm not really sure what you do, because to feed them, you have to have that yeast. I would think you'd have to have that yeast like die off already, because you want to start.
Well, that's what that 3-week period is all about, right?
Yeah.
To kind of get your body back to like a balanced state or a starting point of some degree.
Right.
Where these processed and or just sugar in general is
out,
affecting this yeast process, this yeast buildup process in your gut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you want to add in those probiotics for the good bacteria in your gut, and the bad yeast, I guess you would call it, is no longer like in an overgrowth and overwhelming everything.
Yeah.
So then you feed that. So then you have to eat like meat. Well, meat again, but then resistant starches is what I read. And I was like, what is a resistant starch? And those are like beans and legumes. And there's other things that can be a resistive starch too, but you have to like eat it a certain way, which is very interesting.
Yeah, explain that, because that was interesting to me when you were talking about ways in which I'll have to eat certain foods. Like I could still eat those foods, but it's better if I ate them a certain way.
Yeah, like there's tiers of resistive starches.
Okay.
Resistant, I think I'm saying that right. Resistant starches. So like beans and legumes, you probably could eat hot because they are just resistive to digestion. Okay. So that means the good bacteria is being fed, because it's only the good bacteria that can digest those.
Oh, okay.
Like other parts can't. So you're like feeding that, which you want that in your gut.
Yeah.
So, but then she was saying like on like maybe a lower level are things like potatoes and rice, but not hot.
Okay.
So you cook so you don't eat a raw potato.
That's good.
I
think that kills you.
You would cook it and let it completely cool.
Yeah.
And then eat it cold.
Yeah.
Because So then there's
it's just the way that the bacteria interacts with the different types of foods.
Right.
And certain foods react better at different temperatures with those bacteria that you want to be developing in your gut.
Yeah, I think that's how it works.
Okay.
Because then she said things like garlic and onions are good to eat.
Yeah. And kind of everyone's known about like those things, like just general health purposes. Yeah. So that makes sense. People have felt better with ginger, garlic, different food groups like that have been always seen as kind of like a more homeopathic type food.
Oh, and then another interesting thing is green bananas. So that is a resistant starch, I believe. But as soon as they get ripe, no more, they'll turn into sugar right away. So like if you eat a nice green banana, that would be okay.
Nope.
You're gonna have to like get used to it.
I mean, I don't eat a ton of bananas
That's
now.
true.
I should probably eat more for the potassium, but like green bananas make me gag.
Yeah, they're not the best.
Ugh.
But I guess so.
There's like a banana flavor that's like I'm more of the person that's like just on the starting to turn
ripe.
That's
like how
with
I
the
am.
brown spots,
Yeah.
like starting to form. I'm like, there it is.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it has like this milder banana flavor, whereas the green ones just kind of punch you in the gut, and you're like,
right. Well, they're not ripe. You're not really supposed to eat them. Well,
but I know so many people that can just down, like, still has green on it, not fully, but like it's not ripe yet,
right.
and they just whoop, done.
Yeah.
And
I guess that's healthy for your gut.
Maybe. I think they're just lazy, don't feel like waiting. But yeah, okay. All right. So step 1, sugar detox. We're going to get through that. And I'm probably going to put something out on social media. That way I can get through it with some other people, hopefully. Because a lot of people have done sugar detoxes or, sugar-free diets for a little portion of their maybe beginning of their diets and things like that, just to kind of set them at that starting point. And people are like, the first time it's real tough.
I can't imagine.
And then other times they do it, it gets easier. I've already kind of been cutting down the sugar though.
Right.
In my diet. Like I stopped putting honey in my tea. Like I already switched from coffee to tea because I read somewhere that coffee could be a little harsh on your gut. Tea's a much better alternative. So I'm like, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
I can do that. Like that's not a life-altering thing for me. I'm not a Starbucks drinker. I'm not a Dunkin' Donuts drinker. Like some people are like, this is what I do every day.
Yeah. I mean, I drink coffee every day. That is what I do every day.
I drank coffee every day, but I'm not. Some people are so addicted to like the experience and the coffee.
Yeah, I love it all.
Yeah, I know. So, but you don't have an autoimmune disease,
That's
so it's
true.
all good. It's fine. But yeah, so I already switched over to tea, but I was putting honey in there. And then you're like, you're gonna have to do this sugar detox, and I'm like, okay. And we ran out of honey, so I just stopped putting honey in my tea. And now I've been doing like a tea tasting exercise right now, and so far I've had green teas before. I'll have to experiment a little more with those, but I've done Irish breakfast tea. I'm doing the caffeinated teas because I need to replace coffee. But I've done the English breakfast, Irish breakfast, and chai. And I have to say, chai is my favorite.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe it's just because it has more flavor. It has like the cinnamon and the nutmeg and the different spices in there to give it a little
it's a little
something.
rounder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, I'm not a tea and cream person, but like chai and cream. Oh.
Black tea and cream, they go together.
I haven't had that. I liked the other teas just with honey. I thought that was delicious. And then eventually after the detox, I'll probably go back to that because honey is pretty light.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the first kind of little step that I've taken towards the no sugar. But like I stopped drinking soda like a couple weeks ago. And that's been going good. I'm trying to think of like what other things that I didn't.
Well, you're gonna stop eating like those, protein bars.
I have 2 bars left. Two like granola bar / protein bars left.
Yeah.
I've been trying to like pound through those this week so we can just be done with that. Yeah, that'll be hard.
You're gonna.
That'll be hard.
Yeah, you're gonna feel it when it's all.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Even now, sometimes I like pass by the fridge and like I just want to grab one of those kids' juice boxes just to get like a little bit of sugar.
Yeah.
In my system. So that's gonna be difficult. But like I know we got to get through it. But it's a strange thing because like. I never know when it's part of the sugar addiction that almost everybody struggles with.
I think we all have it in this
country.
country
we all have
because
it.
we eat so much sugar.
Right. And they say like, especially for people that it's a huge staple in their diet
Mhm.
that it's worse than cocaine. Like
Yeah.
literally people, if they just had to withdraw from eating sugar, it would be like symptoms of cocaine
Oh,
withdrawal.
wow. That's
like
intense.
that's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm already moving in that direction. I don't think it'll be terrible to remove those. But it's always, oh, that's what I was saying. It's always a balance of like, sometimes your body tells you, like, there's definitely an addiction and I want to get past that. But like, sometimes your body tells you like, hey, I need some sugar, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm dying here. I need some energy.
Like you don't have energy, right?
Right.
But you'll have to just not for that time.
Great.
Like you just can't. You
Yeah.
can't waste the days.
And that's what's so funny about getting into all of this is like, I already am exhausted. And that's another thing is just like, you have the muscle fatigue, but then just the overall fatigue that comes with the autoimmune reactions or flare ups or whatever you want to call them is like 9 o'clock at night, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like I sit down on the couch because I usually stand while I work at the computer.
Yeah.
So I'll sit on the couch with the kids at night or something like that. And I'm done.
Yeah.
Like I could go to bed right then. And it's like, so now we're going to go through a period of
Well, you know what though?
lesser energy.
But
for a purpose.
For a purpose. I get to say this because I won't have to be as strict on that diet, so it's easier for me to say. But like, it will totally be worth it. It will be worth it.
You're pretty healthy though, in general.
I'm generally healthy, but I am addicted to sugar. Like I know if I cut it out, I would definitely be crawling on the ground.
Let's be honest for a sec though. What sugar are you actually addicted to?
I am addicted to sugar in my coffee.
But you're not though. Because you don't even.
I am.
Yeah, but that creamer that we used to use in our coffee, did that have sugar in it?
It did have some sugar in it, yeah.
Or was it a
fake sugar?
Like a fake sugar?
There was fake sugar in it, which I am totally opposed to, but you can't taste it in that creamer. So
it depends on what it is.
Yeah, but there was sugar in it, yeah.
If it's a sweetener, like a natural sweetener, like that monk
fruit.
The
monk fruit, right. That's healthy.
That's pretty good.
That's not bad for you.
Yeah.
At least from as far as I know.
Yeah.
But no, I like it in my coffee. Like there's definitely sugar in that creamer that I really like.
Okay.
And then I am addicted to chocolate. Like I really am.
Chocolate. It's dark chocolate.
Well, not all of it.
Usually.
I do have a lot of dark chocolate,
You
but
do
I
have
have a lot of
dark
milk chocolate too, and I eat them both. So I feel like, and ice cream.
Ice cream. Okay.
I really like ice cream, and those are probably
we are all stocked on ice cream.
Yeah.
So
those are the hardest things for me to like give up. Like if I don't have ice cream, then I'm probably gonna have chocolate.
Yeah. But you don't drink soda. That was a killer for me.
Yeah, I don't drink soda.
I drank way too much soda.
Yeah.
Because it's delicious.
It is.
I wonder how delicious it is, or if it's just the sugar.
It's just the sugar, I think. It's tasty, but
yeah, like
once you stop it, you don't miss it. Like I used to drink soda every day almost.
Really?
When I was younger, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because we had soda in our house, so it was just like a thing. We had soda in our house, and we weren't limited. I mean, if I started to drink like a lot, I'm sure my parents would have limited it, but I didn't. But I would drink like probably one a day.
Especially if it was like caffeinated. You're like, ah!
Right. One a day or one every other. Like I drank a good amount of it. And then I stopped and like my face cleared up a lot and I lost weight without even trying.
Yeah.
Like, and then I didn't miss it. So now.
Yeah, I don't really miss it. After like 2 weeks of not having it, I don't miss it. I still like habitually, like at a restaurant, will be like, what do you want to drink? And I'll be like, water. But like I was going to say a Coke.
Yeah.
Because that's always what I would have gotten.
I'm too cheap to order soda at a restaurant, so that's not a temptation.
I'm not.
I'm like, I could buy
so
much more for that same price. No, I'll have water.
Yeah. I mean, and that's another thing too. It's getting ridiculous. Even at what do you call them? Like convenience stores. It's like 2 something.
Oh yeah, for like one small
for one
thing.
20-ounce bottle of soda. And then you can go over to the aisle in the same store and get like a 6-pack of bottles of soda for like, I think it comes out to like, you're in the cents. You're not even in the dollars for the amount
then
that it costs for those sodas. And you're like,
yeah,
can I go put this in the fridge and like take it out? And,
I know.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
It's crazy. I don't miss that fact of like going into a place and just feeling the need for a soda, like a pick me up or something, which if I'm really being honest, it never really gave me that pick me up that I was looking for. Maybe it sustained me a little bit.
It made you feel better because you were drinking sugar.
I guess, but like I haven't noticed a huge dip in energy after stopping soda.
Yeah.
Now I was also going through just a time where I was always tired.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well,
it's hard to tell.
It's going to be worth it because I mean, I haven't had very many of these times, but I have had times where like I fasted from things with sugar in it. And I did have like definitely like a more of a clarity of mind, I guess I would say, like a more attunement to like what is happening. That sounds really like weird. But yeah, like I feel like my head is more tired when I am eating sugar.
Oh, okay, really?
But like it's a lot clearer and I'm more alert to like what's happening around me just in general when I'm not. Like
I'm interested to see like even doing this podcast and stuff. A lot of the reason I didn't do it is not that I couldn't like work up enough energy to sit down in front of a mic and talk. It was mostly because like my mind was not firing on all cylinders. Like the synapses were not working. You know, with that muscle fatigue and the exhaustion and all that type of stuff, there was a definite mental aspect to that, which is all physical, you know, but like I couldn't remember names. I couldn't remember information that I had just previously learned about. Like it was bad. So I'm like, let's just not talk for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm not just sitting here like, what was that called again? I already do enough of that.
And that's so unlike you though, actually. I'm usually the one who does that. You're usually on it, you know.
The problem with me is I have too much information in my mind. If I was to detox from something for my mind, it would be from like all of the information that I take in on a daily basis because it's too much.
So here's an interesting thing that I learned from Dr. Caroline Leaf. So called brain building. And she was saying how every day we wake up with new, I don't know if it's dendrites, she said, or I don't know the right technical term. I know that is something in your brain, but I don't know if that's the right thing. But there's like lots of opportunities for your brain to learn. Like it's ready to learn. It's ready to take in new information and learn every single day, like a lot of information. And so she was saying it's very healthy for your brain and for your whole entire body to actually learn new information then every day and to build on that. But the interesting thing was, and I won't get into the whole process probably because I can't even remember it all, but she was saying how it's really important to like really process and do what she calls deep thinking, which is really this process, but of really like understanding information that you're interested in learning, whatever it is, and taking time to like do that process. So it's basically just almost like meditating on it. Like you're reading it, you're understanding it, you're asking questions, you're making sure you understand each piece of like small sections at a time. And but she was saying that's super helpful because then your brain actually like takes in that information and will remember it for the long term. And it won't be just information that like gets thrown out and you don't remember it. And she was also saying how it's like healthy for your body, even for sleeping. She's like, if you just jam information in your head, like you won't remember most of it and it will like actually affect your sleep. You won't sleep well because your brain won't be able to make sense of it at night. It'll just be like a big jumble and it's not healthy for you. So she's like, it's very healthy to learn. She's like all about that, but like you need to take your time and like understand it and like fully process it. And I just thought that was interesting. I was like, wow. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway,
that's pretty cool.
It's helpful to take your time when you're taking in information.
Yeah.
That's why, so I also another nerdy thing about me.
Okay.
I'm all about silence and quiet. I always have been. I think we're missing that. Like, I think we would do so much better to like listen to something or even not to listen to something and just have time to like think.
Like for sure.
Have time with your thoughts.
For sure.
Because I don't think people do that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how they don't because I feel like I would not be healthy if I didn't. But like just having that quiet time to like just think your own thoughts and kind of sort through them and be aware of how you feel and what you're thinking. I think that's helpful.
No, I think there's a definite truth to a lot of the more enlightened thinkers, and you can go back even further to like the monastic practices.
What are the monastic practices?
Like the monks in like the early days of the church and stuff like that, who were all about that.
Yeah.
You know, that was actually like a spiritual discipline.
Right. Like they do days of like not talking, right?
Right. And so I'm like putting both of them because they looked at it as a spiritual discipline that you had to learn to. That's how you were able to hear from God. That's how you were able to kind of come to better understandings of the Word of God, you know. And then in Enlightenment thinking, I mean, that's how you were able to develop new thoughts and ideas, and you know, that's how thinkers were able to think of new angles to science and develop in those fields and things like that.
Yeah.
So science or silence has always been a huge aspect in all deep thinking.
Yeah.
And we definitely have lost that. I mean, just the sheer fact that like there's no end to the news cycle now. And there's no end to like the content being uploaded to YouTube. Like there's no, I mean, it's a worldwide thing. So somebody's uploading something at every single minute of the day and night nowadays.
Crazy.
So like you always have it available to you. There's no like shut off point like, oh, the radio broadcast is ended.
Yeah.
Time to go to bed or read a book or just sit there.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, it's definitely something that I think we're doing something very valuable in just sitting down and having these conversations, because you do think during these types of interactions.
Yeah.
More, you think in a completely different way too than you would in silence.
Yeah.
So I think both are valuable.
Oh yeah.
Because like we've talked about a billion times on this podcast, like this podcast is the only way that I'm able to like put something out there and see if it's ridiculous or not.
Yeah.
And you only can do that in conversation with other people.
Right.
So it's so important to have conversation, so important to have that interactive process of processing your thoughts. But the silence is so good for, I think, more of the, and I think this is what you were getting at with like what Caroline Leaf was saying. Is it Carolyn or Caroline? I think Caroline Leaf, right?
I don't know how you pronounce it.
I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. Dr. Leaf.
Dr. Leaf. There we go. But I think the silence allows you to definitely personalize those thoughts and like know what you think about those things, because it's one thing to learn something from someone else, and especially if that person is smarter than you. There's a lot of studies out there that basically say like if that's the first time you're hearing about something and you know that person's smarter than you, most people are just going to accept it and make it a part of their kind of overall thinking about that subject matter. That's why it's so terrible what's happening in our universities when you have very like biased politically, socially, you know, economically professors teaching kids.
Yeah.
Because those kids are coming in idiots because the public school system was so terrible that they didn't really learn how to think for themselves. It's almost like there's a plan. They weren't able to think for themselves, and then they go away to university, and the professors, they don't continue or fix what you didn't learn in public school, which was how to think for yourself and how to develop your thoughts. They tell you what you should think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then this is becoming more and more common in our universities, where these professors tell you how you're supposed to perceive the economic structures that have aided our country in becoming the country that it is today. But you're not supposed to look at it as a success. You're supposed to look at it as a failure because there's better economic systems that we're not, employing and all this type of stuff. And that's just one subject.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to get into the humanities because it's completely off topic from what we're talking about. But like, it's so important if those kids, which they don't have time for this because college is so hectic and there's just so many things coming at them at once. But like, if they were able to go back and sit in silence and actually put everything that they learned from their professors up against maybe how they grew up, what they know to be true already, and are able to work through those things and personalize them, they would be much stronger going back into those classes and be able to push back or be able to have better conversations with the professors, things of that nature. So I think it's just a different element.
Yeah.
When you're with people, you can learn new things from them that only they knew, and you didn't know.
Cause I wonder how much people, especially younger people, actually do take the time to think their own thoughts.
Probably none.
Because I mean,
I'm not going to say none because that's exaggerating.
But you think about it, like
probably none.
They're either like at home, like quickly getting ready for school, and then they go to school, and when they're not being taught, then they're with friends or they're working on like something.
Yeah, sports or homework.
And then they probably have sports or after school activity, or even if not, they're going home doing their homework. Probably not, maybe not that, but looking at their phones, watching TV, talking on Facebook, doing whatever they have to do, and then going to bed. Like there's no time for like quiet.
No.
Which it sounds kind of lame. Like, why do you need to be quiet? Yeah. But like, how do you know what you're thinking or even process what you're feeling? Maybe you're upset, but you're just like drowning it out with.
I mean, thank God that there's sleep.
Yeah.
Because like you said, like you do process a lot of things during your sleep.
Right.
So thankfully, some things get to be developed when we're not even conscious and have to stop. But still, I mean, there's so much to be said for the quality of our sleep because of the inability to give ourselves some time of silence and away from the chaos of media, any type of media, before we go to sleep.
Right.
There's so many studies that are like, read a book, do nothing, just sit there for a little bit before you go to bed to allow your body to get back into a headspace that's healthy for you to sleep.
Right.
And you'll actually have a more restful sleep, a deeper sleep. There are so many studies on that.
That's really interesting.
I don't think I'm joking, but like, I don't think anybody does that.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Even in like, if you were going to go into like spiritual practices, I think there are some people that maybe meditate. And that's better than nothing for sure. For sure. But I wonder how many of those are silent.
Yeah.
I wonder how many of those are guided meditations or if they are just silent meditations.
Yeah.
Maybe more people than I know. I don't know of anyone that has that as a discipline or a practice or anything like that. But it would definitely be helpful. Even for us to make time for that.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Yeah. That would be cool.
I used to have I loved my quiet time.
Yeah, that's not a thing.
But it's not really a thing when you have kids.
I get it some mornings if I'm up early enough and they're not up with me.
Yeah, you're gracious enough to like let me have like time to myself. I don't know if we would call it like super quiet, but
quiet isn't
not quite the right word, but time to myself, because then you'll help tame the children as I just have some myself time.
Shut up! Shut up! That's my taming of children. Be silent!
They're so crazy. But yeah, that time is still good though. That time's good, especially when you're just waking up, even in the morning. But yeah, I wouldn't do well with. I'm not good with lots of stimulation. I'm like an old person.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that more because I know that there was something by this one guy. I know his last name is Quick. I think it's Jim Quick, I think is his name. But he's he studies the brain and brain functions and how to increase functionality of your brain, in terms of improving sleep to help your brain, doing different practices to, diet, different things to help you have the most active and alive and functional brain that you can have. So that's his area of expertise. But like he talked about, there's a whole section on sleep that I'm kind of pulling from right now and the different things that I talked about. But like, I'm trying to think of the specific area that he was focusing on. Yeah. I don't want to butcher it, so I would check him out. He has these really cool things. I'm sure they're all over where podcasts are found, but he has I think because his last name is Quick.
Yeah.
He played on that. And I think he has I don't know if it's called the Quick Podcast. I forget what it's called, but they're 10-minute segments.
Oh, that's smart.
Because usually you can't really retain the information if it's over this super long period of time. You'll get bits and pieces and stuff, but he's really trying to be educational during these podcasts. So they're 10-minute podcasts on different ways to help your brain be more functional.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I need to check them out more. I've listened to one or two. I listened to a long form. Funny. I listened to a long form podcast with him. That's how I found out about him. But he has some really good tips on what to do when you wake up, how to go to bed well.
Right.
Diet, so many different areas of your life. Oh, yeah, he's the guy that I learned about working out in the morning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was studies have found that you actually have deeper sleep if you do some type of activity, exercise, whatever kind of activity you can manage in the morning. Shortly after you wake up, you'll have a deeper sleep.
Yeah.
So I just found little stuff like that.
That's pretty cool.
Is cool, and it's very interesting. I don't know if it works.
Right.
But I will try it.
Oh, well, yeah.
If it means better sleep, I will try it.
I can get myself up to actually exercising in the morning, but that's cool though.
Yeah.
Something else that is interesting, I guess it's slightly off topic, but kind of along these lines, but something that I noticed this past week. So I went on this little retreat thing. Anyway, on it, I felt like the Lord kind of showed me something, and through what someone said, and they were talking about how having a rushed heart or a rushed mind is that's not of God, and that's not helpful. And I mean, that's not really helpful to anyone. So that's why I say it, even if you don't believe in God. But that just kind of I was oh wait, that's me. That's the definition of me. I'm always rushed. No one might be rushing me.
Yeah.
But I'm rushed. I'm already thinking about the next thing that I need to get done, and I'm on the next thing, and I'm nervous because this is taking too much time, and I want to get to this next thing, and once I'm at that thing, then I'm well, I have to get these 5 other things done, and it's this anyway. It's very stressful.
Sounds like it.
But I was oh wow, yeah, that's how I function, and so I've taken a step back, and I'm I do not want to do that anymore. So I'm just it's been really nice, actually, I'll say. I've kind of, by the grace of God, slowed myself down. Not physically,
right.
But I'm just you know what? I can only get done what I can get done.
Yeah.
So I want to be present, with you right now. I want to be present with my kids.
Right.
I want to be present. Even if something is actually making me late for something, my heart doesn't need to be rushed. My mind doesn't need to be rushed. I can just be hey, like I have to go in like 3 minutes or whatever,
Yeah.
and just be present. Like it doesn't mean I need to be late or slow or lazy,
Right.
but I don't have to be like internally. I don't need to be rushed. And
yeah, so many of us are rushed to the next thing.
Yeah.
We don't even always have a next thing, but we feel like we should to be acceptable in society.
Right. Or to be productive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, like I hadn't realized that that's how I was like functioning until like this person said this, and it was such a blessing because I was like, yeah, that's not helpful to me or to the people I'm with. Like, yeah, if God wants to like do something in that moment, or I'm to care for that person in a certain way, I'm gonna miss it because I'm not concerned about them. Honestly, if I'm thinking about the next thing, like I'm just trying to get away from them, like that sounds so awful, but that's kind of where you're at if you're rushed. And so, yeah, I was like, I don't like that. I don't like feeling like that. I don't like feeling like that either. But I was like, that's an interesting thing. And I don't think I'm the only one. I think probably a lot of people feel that way just with the way like everything's so fast and all the things that like people are busy, like everyone's busy. But it doesn't mean that you have to feel rushed. Yeah. If that makes sense.
I feel like everybody has that for different reasons. Like I have it for productivity issues, and I get depressed if I'm not productive. You have it probably for, and don't let me put words in your mouth, but like you have it for more of that societal like pressure on your mind. Like I want to be a good mother. I want to be a good wife. I want to be a good whatever.
Yeah. I think it's mostly for like just, yeah, you feel like you need to be that for everyone else. You need to reach this standard of something so that so you meet their standard, whatever that is that you made up in your head.
Exactly. So yeah, it's a good thing to follow. Silence. And I think silence would really help people with that.
Yeah, well, I've been thinking about it more, and I think it would just, like even if it's not silence, but taking the time to plan out, like, this is what I need to get done. And in these moments, like, you have
to plan for silence.
Yeah, well, that's definitely true.
And you'll have to, and I think silence, it's not an easy thing. Like I've done it in the past where I've had like times of just trying to be silent. And I last like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
If that.
Yeah.
If that, your mind starts going very quickly, and it's not bad for your mind to go places. You sometimes need to go with your mind and stuff.
And it's interesting to see where it goes.
Usually it's rushed.
Yeah. Well,
usually my mind just goes to like, how much longer do I have? You're missing the purpose of silence. You're supposed to slow down. You're supposed to rest. You're supposed to just kind of be present like you're talking about. And that's not usually where my mind goes, which means I need to do more silence, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think that would lead to us also being able to conquer that rushed mindset. And like, and that's what leads us to stress. That's what leads us to all the things that we complain that we have to deal with on a daily basis it's usually mostly always us.
Oh yeah.
Like we are our biggest stressors. We are our biggest source of anxiety, guilt, shame, usually is us that bring about all of those things. We like to push it off on other people or other situations or things like that. But if we're really honest, it's coming from something internal inside of us. Because a lot of people don't deal with those things, and it's probably because they're more disciplined in other areas of their lives.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Like some people that aren't as stressed have probably done things to discipline their lives in a certain way that like these stressors don't affect them in that way.
Yeah.
And that's usually the case when you really dig into people's lives, is like they've developed systems or they've developed patterns or they've developed disciplines that help them avoid, traps or situations or feelings or emotions that, get into. But yeah. Anything else?
I mean, could always talk.
I know.
I just listened to that. Well, we probably don't have time to get all into this, but I just listened to that Jordan Peterson and Yaomi Park.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to say her first name. Yeah, Park though.
Interview. And I mean, talk about taking some silence after that interview. But you just listen to that, and afterwards, like, I feel like that's all you can do is really just be like silent. But because you're just like, what? Like,
Yeah.
You're like, okay. You just have so much to think about. So much to be like, okay, wait, I'm so blessed. Like, should never ever complain in my life.
Yeah, we can definitely do a podcast on that.
But
we can definitely do a podcast just on that and just kind of discussing different takeaways that we had. Because I want to know your thoughts on that. Maybe we'll save our conversation about that for that, so we can be fresh with our conversation. But yeah, that one rocked me. That whole conversation, maybe as homework. Listeners,
right?
Go and check out this podcast. It's on YouTube if you want to watch it, or any other podcast platform. Just look up Jordan B. Peterson, and you'll find it. I think it's like Yomi Park.
Yeah, it's like YOAM.
No, YE.
Oh, YEOMI Park. I think that was the spelling. I thought I
something like that.
I thought I had it down better than that, but
you'll
apparently
find it.
not.
It's one of the most. I think that it's one of maybe two of the most recent podcasts that have come out from him. So yeah, check that out. It's basically a whole backstory and conversation about this woman's experience growing up in North Korea, defecting from North Korea into China, and all of the experiences that she had from there. It's harrowing. It's incredible. It's an incredible journey. It'll really put you in your place when you think about the things that we're complaining about and fighting about and discussing in our country right now. It just pales in comparison.
It helps bring you back to base. What really matters.
Right.
What really matters.
Yeah, one of the things, and we'll just kind of wrap up with this and stuff. One of the things, and just chew on this for a bit. One of the quotes that she had during this interview was like, I want to remember it right, but she's like, people that are talking about oppression aren't oppressed, because because people that are actually oppressed don't even know what the word means. And that's something, and I butchered that quote, but she talks about this. There are certain words in North Korea that you aren't even allowed to learn because it would inspire you to maybe go against the ruling party. So like, you don't know what love is.
Like, there's not even a word for it.
There's not a word. Like, they've redone, like George Orwell's 1984, like they've redone the language so that there's no love, no romantic love. There's no freedom. That's not a word.
There's no I.
There's no I. It's only we, because they're communists and collectivists, whatever you want to call them, socialists. It's all the same thing, guys. Yeah, just all of these things to reshape their minds and reshape their entire worldview. It's crazy. It's so crazy. Go listen to it, please. It should be a part of our humanities education.
It's like totally worthwhile.
Yeah, like I've never really wanted to recommend something more than going and listening to that. Definitely don't listen to it in a public place. Definitely listen to it in a private place where you can cry. Because I teared up multiple times during that whole interview. But yeah, well worth it. All right, well, let's wrap it up. Thanks everybody for listening. I'm glad to be back. I feel good doing this again. So hope you all are well. Make sure before you go, if you're listening to this on YouTube, that you like this, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you always know when we put a new video up. Listeners on other platforms, make sure you subscribe in the way that you can. Follow us, leave us a review if that's an option, and we'll see you on the next episode. Love you all. Goodbye.